Hey, welcome back to the program, folks. This is Chris with One Dot Daily, and happy Stagurday. I'm happy to be back with you guys talking about some pocket knives. Today I've got one that's a little bit different. I've been sharing a little bit. I've been mostly sharing case knives and some older stuff. I've shown a couple GECs, but not too many. So today I'm gonna show one of my GEC knives, and talk about it a little bit, and maybe talk about the pattern and some misgivings I had about the pattern. And I'll try and make it a little bit short, but you know me, I like to talk about the knives. So hopefully you guys like this one. Stick around. Okay, guys, here's the knife. This is a Northfield GEC number 38 in Sandbar Stag. And this, it's a very natural looking stag, and it's an unshielded version, which is slightly less desirable than the shielded versions, because the shielded versions take a little extra care to sink that in. And so anyways, I was able to get this one at a good deal. And so here's the show side, which is pretty good. Very smooth, very beautiful, cool fissures, and lots of like nice dark contrast in there. But the pile side is the one that really gets me going, because it's got such a deep valley and lots of contrast in there, and very, very beautiful knife. Now, I always thought that this was a Whittler pattern because of this shape. And I have since, and because the first knife that I got in this pattern, this 38 pattern, was a GEC English Whittler. And I'll show that to you in a second. But see, this is a single blade on what is the, and you know, most of you guys know this. I'm just talking about this basically because I'm still learning myself. I'm, you know, just sharing about like how I learn different parts about these knives. But it's a single blade, and it's called a 38 special. Because as far as I know, and I don't know, I'm not an expert on any knives, and I'm especially not an expert on GEC stuff. But I think that this serpentine shape, is like, they usually always have a pin blade or a secondary blade on the other end of it, as far as I could tell in the literature that I have. So the 38 special, maybe I'm going to look into it. I'm getting a GEC book, but I think that it means, because there's one blade. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know what else the special would be. The 38 is the pattern from GEC. But I got this one at a really good price because I bought it with another knife. And I've noticed that, I mean, of course, anytime you buy more, you usually get a deal. And these GECs are so expensive, that's actually kind of a good way to do it, because I got this knife for $200, which is a lot of money for a pocket knife, but for a GEC Stag pocket knife that's brand new, you know, in the tube, that's a really good price. Or it's a pretty good price to get into a GEC brand new. The knife that I had before it is this knife here, which got me into the pattern. This is a GEC 38 English Whittler, unexcelled Northfield, and this is also a Northfield unexcelled. And this is a traditional split back Whittler with the two black back springs separated here, denoting it as a split back Whittler. And they're very, very hard to make, And this knife is executed really, really well. There's like no blade rub or anything on it. And these secondary blades are really, really cool. And they have half stops on the secondary, not on the primary. But this knife I got, and it was my 5th GEC knife that I ever got. And it was after I had the boy's knife that I showed in a video like 2 videos ago. And I loved their bone. And I was like, man, I got to get another GEC with jig bone. So I got this, and I don't know, I wasn't super familiar with serpentine knives. I just never, I don't know, when I see that, I haven't seen a lot of them in person. I'm never like, I've always thought they were weird looking kind of, and I hadn't picked them up so much. And so I always kind of thought of them as like a dainty, fragile, small knife. This knife's not small or dainty at all. It's so substantial. Both of these are so like substantial and well made, and it's a 3 7/8, I think, is the actual measurement of this knife closed. So it's under 4 inches, just barely under 4 inches, and it just is such. And so when I picked this up, and it was super stout. And I mean, it's, I wouldn't put it on a heavy jack or anything, but this is a much more stout knife than I anticipated anyways. Maybe you guys watching know all about these, but I didn't at the time. And I was just pleasantly surprised. And so I liked this knife so much. The 3 blades and this knife, this Wharncliffe being a little short, I saw one with a single, because I like single blades a lot, and I saw it with the single blade, and I was like, that would make a lot of sense. And the way that it feels in the hand is so good. And so I was sort of looking around for one, and I saw this Stag, and there was another knife that I was able to get in the same purchase, and it drove the price on this one down to $200, because they wanted like $300 is what I see these going for, or $250 at least. I know that I paid $200 and either $190 or $210. I actually forget if this was $190 or $210, but like worth every single penny of the price. But I haven't been carrying this knife. Really beautiful. It's got the rat tail or fluted bolsters. I guess they refer to that as rat tail. It's really, really an amazing knife. I mean, there's no blade rub. It's made so well. The tolerances in there are just really, really, sorry, it's not focusing, but the tolerances in there are very tight. It has, the one thing I don't like actually is that it has a swedge on both sides up here and a nail nick. So it actually makes it, and it's part of the Northfield trim of these knives that make it hard, a little hard and thin. I mean, you just have to put your nail in there. You can't really get any meat with your finger in. This one is not as prevalent in that way. So I actually like it more. Like, it's much easier to get to that nail nick and keep your fingernail in there. So yeah, and I thought that, I don't know, I just always associated this pattern with a Whittler. So I started kind of looking around in this book, and this book is really good right here. This Levin's Guide to Knives and Their Values. Now, the values are out of touch, but it actually is a way to determine, there is a system in here to determine, even if the prices are out of date, they determine what knives are worth more and or less compared to one another. There's like a system for it. Anyway, so let's see, got some marked pages here. So a serpentine penknife is essentially what this knife ends up being. And so, as with serpentine jacks, the term serpentine pen knives includes all more or less S-curved pen knives, whether tapered or equal-ended. Equal-end or nearly so serpentine pen knives are two-blade versions of the junior premium stock knife. So they are often called premium pen knives. Most premium pen knives, like stock knives, have clip master blades as with stock knives. Premium pen knives come in both round end and square end versions. Markedly tapered serpentine pen knives are often called dog legs. However, if they have Wharncliffe master blades, they are called Wharncliffe. So this is a dog leg serpentine knife, essentially. Although you don't see any example. This has all the old examples. This book is great. And so you don't see a single blade. So that's why I'm calling this the reason it's special. You know, like they call it a 38 special is the model name of this particular knife. So until I find out further, that's what makes this a 38 special as opposed to just a 38 pattern. A Wharncliffe blade, we all know this, has a straight edge like a sheep foot. However, its back is gently curved and its point is more acute. Lord Wharncliffe, for whom the pattern was named and who may in fact have designed it, was a noble patron of Joseph Rogers and Sons of Sheffield, sometime around 1830. If the second blade of a double-ended serpentine knife is anything other than a pen blade or a nail file, for example, a spay or spear or a punch, then the knife is considered a double-ended jackknife rather than a penknife. I love all this like weird little reasons and why something is called what it specifically is, and then we get some of the illustrations, which are images from old catalogs of these makers, I guess, and this book has just like a ton of information in that way. Quickly, so this is the Whittler, right? So here's Whittlers, and like this is general knowledge. You guys probably know this, but I'm not trying to teach anybody anything. I'm more or less reading it for me and just so that we have maybe something to talk about, because we like these knives, right? And I just really like this pattern, so this was interesting to me. Whittlers. Whittler is a modern collector's term that refers to a particular type of construction. Any pen knife with this type of construction is considered a Whittler, regardless of its shape or handle die. Like there's a lot of, it's, like I always thought for some reason this shape was a Whittler, but there's a million other shapes of a Whittler, and this isn't a Whittler. Like this is a serpentine dog leg. A Whittler is a three-blade pen knife with a large blade in one end and two small cutting blades of equal length in the other end. So, right? And there's two. I won't open them. Whittlers have two springs. Each small blade bears on one of the springs. The large blade is extra thick and it bears on both springs. The thick master blade bearing on two springs is the most distinctive feature of a Whittler. The majority of Whittlers have a center divider that separates the tangs of the two small blades, and that also separates the two springs for part of their length, like the split back you can see here. I'll zoom in. The divider can be seen along the back of the knife where it tapers to nothing just past the center pin. I'm not paying attention now. Other Whittlers show no divider at the back. Often the two springs of this type are tapered and they are not separated at all. The tangs of the two small blades are separated by a very small divider at the end of the knife. An early ancestor of this type of Whittler construction is shown in foreign, exotic, primitive, and historical folding knives, whatever. Whittlers range in size from ladies' pen knives under 2 inches long and up to occasional wood carving tools over 4 inches long. Larger Whittlers are called carpenter's knives by some manufacturers. Many small knives with Whittler construction have a manicure blade in place of one of the small cutting blades. These knives are not considered true whittlers by some collectors, but a nice one is not out of place in a whittler collection. Okay, so it goes on to talk about how do you collect these knives and stuff like that. So sorry if a little bit of reading there bored you guys at all. For me, I'm very interested, I don't know, and just like learning about this stuff. And so a pen blade has one spring, which there's a case knife, and it's the 62047, and then it's marked pen on the blade next to the pattern number. And it is just a clip point and then another small pen blade. And I always thought it was a half whittler. Everyone talks about a half, or people talk about what a half whittler is. And I always associate that with a knife that looks like that, but that has two blades, which I think I'm probably splitting hairs, and any rules or terms have relaxed quite a bit, and that can be called a half whittler too. But it is interesting on that case knife that I talked about. Ooh, I have a picture of it. Here it is, right here. Here it is. This is what I'm talking about right here. Case 06247 pen. It's a very similar shape and pattern, but it says pen, and I don't have a picture of the tang stamp of it, but it is denoted actually on the tang as a pen. So that is kind of an interesting, they kind of get it right, or they stick to the rules that other book kind of mentioned. So anyways, guys, I'll shut up. I just wanted to jump on here and share about this stag knife. Now, I have not carried it because I wanted to kind of make this video. But this one's going in my pocket starting on Tuesday. And I will give you guys Monday. I've got kind of a hard work day, so I'm going to take a different knife, probably not a stag knife. This knife's a little bit fancy, but I am going to daily carry it and let the patina go on it. So anyways, just wanted to jump on here and hang out with you guys for a minute and show you a knife. So I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend, and let me know if you guys just could do without any of the reading out of a book. I'm not trying to put you guys through school or something like that, and Lord knows I would not be a teacher or the teacher of that class, because I don't know anything. I'm just sort of reading that stuff to discover it or try and remember it myself. All right. Have a great weekend, you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys' videos this weekend. All right. Have a good one.